I thank my friend and colleague, and Madam Secretary, thank you for being here. I know you have an extremely busy schedule. Get my name tag up so you know who I am. Basically,
I would have never known.
You probably had me confused with Rudy Verdesco or somebody like that, one of our mutual friends. I was in Kansas over this past work period, and I talked to our Kansas patients, providers, and advocates, people that you know and that know you, about the President's executive order. This is the one that is supposed to take care of the regulatory overkill and a cost-benefit yardstick, and the President said that they were duplicative, costly, and in some cases just stupid, which I really encouraged. I was very encouraged when I heard about that, but I also heard about and found out it was not only necessary to read the bill, but to read the regulations, which is a full-time job, which I have people behind me that do that, and then report to me. But at any rate, I am very concerned about that. It was a stakeholder roundtable in Topeka. It's the first time I think they all got together. We had everybody, Kathleen. We had the ambulance drivers, we had the druggists, we had the hospice, we had the hospital administrators, doctors, nurses, you name it. And it was the first time I think that they all got together and discussed PPAC and what they were concerned about. And every representative at that meeting had a concern with regulations, and the sheer volume of that was just extraordinary. I promised them I would summarize them, send them to you, and obviously hope for a response so that we could have a better dialogue. The number one concern I heard was a fear of the impact of future regulations, especially those regulations for implementing PPAC and their potential to have a further and greater impact on jobs and the economy of that provider, whether or not that provider could actually stay in business. And I want to underscore those concerns were even greater than the impacts that we discussed during the health care debate. As you know, we went to Health Committee, we went to the Finance Committee, and then we went to Harry Reid's committee, and then we had the bill. And then we've tried to look at it since that time. It's my understanding that a number of the PPAC rules have been issued as an interim final rule, and therefore with limited stakeholder input. That really concerns me. In my letter to the President last week, and I sent it to the President, not to you. I knew it would get to you eventually, and it's dated March 10, and I know you haven't had a chance to look at it. I doubt if it's come down to you by now, but I'm going to give you a copy, and I thought maybe you could go over it at halftime at the KU game or the K-State game when you're watching. Probably more K-State than KU, but then that's beside the point. At any rate, I encourage the administration to limit the use of this regulatory process, take every available opportunity to get feedback from those who would be most affected by these regulations. And I encourage the administration to review any comments you have received on these regulations. So my question to you is, do you commit to only using the interim final rule process in the most limited and necessary fashion? And through that, do you commit to getting stakeholder input through a designated comment period so the folks that I met with and that you know and that you would meet with, matter of fact, that might not be a bad idea, so that they could at least have some input? In short, with the people that you know in Kansas and I know in Kansas that are trying to do their best with PPAC but are worried about regulations, can they at least have time so that they can have some input?
Well, Senator, I share your concerns that input from stakeholders is critical, and we have been trying to balance what were fairly daunting 2010 deadlines with getting that feedback as quickly and promptly as possible, doing everything from webinars to open periods. But we are certainly eager to have stakeholder input. I have met with a number of the people who probably were in the room with you, Maynard Oliverius and others, right, who are willing and eager to participate in the accountable care organizations. But yes, we are looking for ways. We invited Maynard in,
but we kicked him out after about 5 minutes now. But at any rate, okay, go ahead.
Well, I share your concern, and we are certainly looking for ways to get the maximum input as we move through this process. Well, I know
that you'll move forward with that. I took the advantage of all that input, which lasted for about 3 hours. And we have 34 regulations here that they sort of broke down into different categories. I'm going to give them to you. My letter will work down through the process, you know, to you after a while. I had another question that I can ask for the record, and my time is up, and I don't know what we're going to do here. You want to rewrite the bill now, or what?
We can talk about our brackets.
In my college basketball days, before we had the 24-second clock, we used to just dribble in the corner. So
dribble in the corner.
I'm not going to quite.
Have you voted on the second vote?
I have not. There are about 10 minutes left. I was going to ask one quick question. What is the senator's pleasure?
Since I have the time, can I ask my brief question? Then I will yield you the remainder of the time.
Of course.
And I'll throw you the ball. All right.
Are you dribbling in the corner, or are you coming to the basket?
He's dribbling in the corner.
I just need to know, because I'm playing defense here.
Yeah,
Just give me a signal.
It's a full court press.
Okay.
Secretary.
Got it.
All right. The executive order. It's a fine executive order, but there are loopholes, and the loopholes are this. If you're sitting as secretary like you in front of a regulatory agency and you're doing the public good, why you're excluded from this cost-benefit yardstick that the President issued with his executive order to get a hold of all these regulations, which, by the way, is the #1 issue that pops up in Kansas. What on earth are you doing back there passing all these regulations that don't make any sense? They're counterproductive. They don't meet a cost-benefit yardstick, and they're about to put me out of business. That's the speech that you hear. I always say I'm not a you guy, I'm an us guy, and then we go from there. Now, there are exemptions. One is, are you doing the public good? The other is, are you a sub-agency or an independent agency? If so, you're exempted. And then we have this, and this is the one I think that you're under, I'm not sure, and this is, where appropriate and permitted by law, each agency may consider and discuss qualitatively, I'm talking about this executive order by the President, and this is the part where I have the most concern, values that are difficult or impossible to quantify, including equity, human dignity, fairness, and distributive impacts. If that was ever an amorphous statement, I don't know what is. You and I could sit down and talk about that for 6 hours, and we wouldn't be able to come up with any kind of a directive or any kind of a conclusion other than just to take the whole thing, wad it up, and put it in a wastepaper basket somewhere. Now, which one of those exemptions do you fall under, or do you fall under any, and are you making the best effort to try to apply the regulations to the President's executive order?
We are doing the latter, and that has been the directive of the President, not just for future regulations, but he has asked us all as cabinet members and our offices, you know, at the top of this list to review prior regulations and to look at not only gathering input from stakeholders, but go through a very strenuous process of looking at duplicative information, regulations that are outdated,
You're doing
outmoded.
that.
We are absolutely starting that process. Yes, yes,
sir. I have 34 of them for you to take a look at. I thank my colleague who is no longer dribbling but has left the court.
You going to take a shot, or you just going?
I've already taken my shot.
Thank you, Senator. I might add, too, that we just now repealed a statute.